this is Governor Bobber. I like good day, doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
It is 13th, everyone, and it is Dr. Hoffman and the People Architect Show. Welcome. Another Friday, Friday 13th, the month of August, where most Marylanders are on vacation, enjoying county fairs, state fairs, and having a lot of fun. We're here hard at work, exposing lefties everywhere and the false narratives they've been pushing over the past week. And I think one of the biggest things that happened this week is Joe Biden's Vietnam, with what it looks like the eventual fall of the freely elected government of Afghanistan. And I think the saddest part is, I think a lot of folks today have been saying this on 9/11, the 20th anniversary of the attack. The Taliban will be celebrating the retaking of Kabul and probably burning down the American embassy. Thoughts? Oh, wait a minute! I forgot to do our intros. Hold on a second. I forgot how to do our intros.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I know.
Today.
I know. It's like
excited about it.
I know. It's like we are joined by Dr. Jeff Thornton from Howard County. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you.
All the way from Provo, Utah, or are you in Orem right now?
I'm actually in Lehigh.
Lehigh, Utah. Is that kind of like Lehigh, Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Without the liberals?
There's a lot of, the Utah technology up here. So.
Mm-hmm. Welcome, Don. I appreciate you joining us on vacation all the way from Utah. And then we have from the reddest county in the state of Maryland, Chris Tomlinson. Welcome. How are things in Carroll County? I believe your county fair is behind you now, and the carnies have all packed up their tents, and I think they're in Montgomery County now.
However, the Hampstead Carnival is starting on Monday, so a lot of carnivals were canceled this summer, but the Hampstead Carnival is trucking along.
Do you guys have parades in your county, by the way, this year? Are you going to do? Are you having a Labor Day and Labor Day parade and stuff like that? Montgomery County has canceled all of their parades.
I don't think there has been any parades since the pandemic. There usually is a parade during the Hampstead Carnival week. I don't know if that's happening or not. I'm leaning towards no.
Yeah. And as we started off with,
hey, Dwight, just let me ask you one thing. You just mentioned these parades. I mean, what's the now? I mean, it's outdoors. Why do we need to be canceling parades?
I think that I could be cynical and give you a cynical answer. It's the Democrats in Montgomery County that don't want Republicans to be able to campaign at parades and let people see them. But I think it's just a lot of people are lazy and they don't like, because it's a lot of work doing parades, organizing and all that. People are lazy and they say, let's not do it. Let's just say, blame it on the pandemic. We'll do it in a couple of years when the COVID is gone. So that's what I think. That's my cynical answer. I think it's just stupidity, frankly. I mean, Baltimore County had their Dundalk 4th of July parade, which is the largest parade in the state of Maryland this past July. Baltimore County, they've got a Democrat county executive who didn't feel threatened by a parade, but Mark Elrick and the Democrats on the council, and evidently we can have this. Yeah, Anne Arundel County's been doing parades too. They've had 4th of July parades, Anne Arundel County, Pasadena's had parades, and Jessica Hare, Ryan, they've all been participating in those parades. Yeah. So, why is Mark Elrick? Yeah, I just think it's funny that Mark Elrick feels threatened by parades. Maybe it's because he also knows he's got some serious Democrat competition, in folks like Tom Hucker who are primarying him. And by the way, I know Mark Elrick's bad, but Tom Hucker would be even worse. Imagine that. let that sink in for a while. So you got to vote for
That's
a
well. I
Republican.
mean, look, that's the problem in Montgomery County, though, right? I mean, it's like even if you get rid of a guy like Elrich, I mean, who do you have left? I mean, some of the people would run, and they're worse. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I never thought I'd be praising Ike Leggett, but Ike Leggett was not nearly as bad.
Those guys, I mean, they look great compared to what we've got
Sid Kramer,
now.
Yeah. I mean, Chris, is that what you guys do with Republicans that lose when you lose a county commissioner or county executive? You go, well, this guy wasn't as bad as the new guy. But fun again as we started off. Today is Friday the 13th, and let me push one of my favorite movies, Friday the 13th Part 2. I think Jeff, Don, and I might be the only ones old enough.
Part 2, really?
Yeah. Do you prefer this one?
Not.
Yeah.
How
many Fridays are too many?
Too many.
Jason versus Freddy was so terrible. I remember seeing that in the theaters with like, I think it was a date or something. It was so bad. So bad.
I think after that it was like Jason Goes to Hell.
I thought he went to hell before he fought Freddy.
Yes, he did. He went to hell before it. Yes.
So his penance was come back and fight Freddy. Well,
yeah, I put this on the schedule only because and I'm glad that you came up with these graphics. It figures I would spur. Friday the 13th just doesn't seem to have the same feeling with people as it used to. Get kind of riled up about that. Oh no, Friday the 13th. Almost like it just kind of rolls off our back.
I think it's because we've been long ways away from the Friday the 13th movie series. People have kind of forgotten about it, And Friday the 13th is just another day of the week,
Would it be better for Friday the 13th? It needs to be like close to Halloween.
Maybe. Or there has to be a Friday the 13th movie in the theaters. And by the way, as I ranted earlier this week, Hollywood is void of new ideas. Don't be shocked if we see a reboot of Friday the 13th.
I mean, they already have at least twice, I think, right?
Did they reboot Friday the 13th already?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't think the last one or two were like just a continuation. I don't think
they weren't canon to the original, I guess. But
I mean, I'd maybe put a little bit of money on it.
I must say, my favorite parody movie was Saturday the 14th. It was making fun of the Friday the 13th movies about all the things that, they built it up. It was kind of like in the vein of Scary Movie. Of all the things, he goes, of all the days, it's Saturday the 14th, and it was about, all the bad things that happened. They were making a total mockery of Friday the 13th. Great movie.
There's 12 Friday the 13th movies, so yes, I think we're due for a 13th Friday the 13th movie.
I'm surprised they haven't done that yet.
Yeah, the last one was in 2009. That was just Friday the 13th was the name of the movie.
Friday the 13th, Part 13.
Did you count how many of them there were, Jeff? Yeah.
Yeah, 12. 12 of them.
Okay, that's a little bit.
Yeah, the Jason Goes to Hell. That was their 9th movie, and then Jason X was after that, and then Freddy versus Jason was the penultimate Friday the 13th.
Was it the one where Jason was in space also?
Oh,
that
one was so bad.
Yes, it's Jason X. That was the 10th movie.
Oh.
Jason X almost sounds like it's an X.
Yes.
Jason X sounds like an X-Men movie. It's like a crossover with the X-Men.
Yes.
All right. Let's go back to what we were. Anyway, we kind of diverged in Afghanistan, right? And your comparisons. I mean, I think you're right. We talked a little bit in the pre-show about how this is looking a little bit like Vietnam, and this is going to be a problem for the administration. I mean, we can't. I think we're in agreement that we really can't blame this all on the Democrats at this point. This policy was moving in place before Biden took office, but it is now Biden and the Democratic Congress. They can go make a move here, and and the last thing Joe Biden needs at this stage is something that is akin to Vietnam, for him at this point. He's got problems everywhere else. He doesn't need any more problems.
I mean, Is this what the Afghan embassy is going to look like in a few weeks? Are we going to see scenes like this? I mean, and then again,
all the surrounding provinces are giving up without even a fight. So there's not going to be any chance of Kabul, making any kind of last stand. It's going to just be overrun. So I think if people are wise, they should just exit and just say this is no longer a tenable situation. We've got to give up completely and just not even have a presence, because otherwise it's going to be it's going to be worse if we stay there.
yeah, but I tell you, it just feels like we're when you see scenes like this is a scene from Hanoi. And you see scenes like this, it's really troubling. It's like this, yeah. And we're doing the exact same thing we did in Vietnam. We let our people that were helping us in South Vietnam, we didn't take care of them then, and we're not taking care of the translators this time around. The State Department seems to be taking their sweet old time trying to get them out of the country. While we set this false evacuation, our leaving Afghanistan deadline at the end of this month. I mean, why the hell are we did we have to announce that? And it goes back to a previous administration. Why the hell did we have to announce the last day we're going to be there? It's kind of like, it's the last day of school, so to speak, so you can cause all sorts of trouble once the principal and the teachers are gone. I think it should have been handled like, if you guys recall, when we handed over power to the provisional government in Iraq, we did it a day ahead of schedule. And everyone was kind of shocked when Paul Bremer handed off. And that was done the right way. I mean, Iraq is actually a success story.
So I don't know how it's best to say this without sounding awful, but I think Afghanistan only respects a power, and when there's a vacuum in that power, it's going to be taken over. So the people themselves, some people probably don't care, but we only held the peace because we were like the de facto power there, and so there was no one else really to question that. And if there were, there'd be have the might of the U.S. against them. But when we leave, there is no other vacuum. The people don't want to go against the Taliban, because there's the Taliban, there's ISIS, there's also other, I'm sure, groups that are going to.
No, Jeff. The ISIS is the JV team. Taliban is the varsity team. Remember that. Don't forget that.
Yeah, but it's going to be ramshackle over. And these people, these are ordinary people. These aren't necessarily, I don't think, even military trained people in the provisional government. Yeah. These are people that basically we kind of consigned into service and said, okay, now you got to maintain the security. So I'm sure that these people don't want to be in the midst of all this fighting.
Mm-hmm.
I found it interesting that.
Go ahead, Chris.
I've been finding interesting, starting probably about 2-3 months ago, that every Associated Press article that had to do with Afghanistan, they would, whenever they would mention it, they would, over in Afghanistan, parentheses, or sorry, comma, which is sure to fall within 90 days or less, comma, and it's like, it's just like a foregone conclusion that it's over.
And
yeah, look, I was pretty skeptical when they announced this, because I thought, I just didn't say Afghan forces were going to keep this up. I don't, they've been counting on the U.S. for so long that it was. I think this was somewhat inevitable in the situation. But the question too, for me, is that, so what in essence, what did we achieve in Afghanistan long term? And if it, as the Taliban is taking over, if we go back in, are we starting from square one almost all over again? What's the long-term policy? What are we supposed to be doing there?
Honestly, I think, far be it. I know it sounds like nation building, but I tell you, we had troops in Germany many years after the war as a deterrent to East German aggression, Soviet aggression. We've had troops in South Korea for over 50 years now. We've got, I think we should have kept a military presence. We should have kept the air base in Kandahar. We should have kept just like we have in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Baghdad, that is one of the largest embassies in the world we have. And We've got a stabilizing force there. We would be the stabilizing force, just like we were after World War II in West Germany, or as we were in Japan. And I think I know a lot of people say, "Well, we've been at war for 10 years," but we've paid with lives of American soldiers over the last 10 years, and now we're leaving, and so that it almost means like they've died for nothing as a result of the lax policies of the Biden administration. I mean, wake up, Joe Biden. Where are your? I thought you people were supposed to be so damn smart. Where the hell are your damn experts at the State Department? Has anybody not taken a simple class in Middle Eastern politics or how to? I mean, one of the things these folks understand is brute force, and I think having America there kept the Taliban in check. And honestly, we should, Newt Gingrich once made a point about how long we'll have troops in Iraq, and he said we'll have them there as long as we had them in Germany and Korea. I think what is so bad, I mean, if it takes time to bring democracy to a land that's never had democracy. If we had kept the troops there, like a marginal amount of troops, say 3,000 to 5,000 troops, keep the bases, keep our military presence there, keep, us leaving. I mean, who's picking up the hardware? It's like.
Well, I think there's a few differences. So in Afghanistan, I mean, if you're talking about like the Germans and stuff like that, I mean, they have a relatively similar culture to ours. I mean, yes, they do have a lot of differences, but they're more alike than disliked. When you talk about the Middle Eastern cultures, and it's a completely different society, and Afghanistan is a different country. The borders in Afghanistan are different. I mean, you got the mountains and people that would live in hiding for 20 years because that's their nomadic life that they're used to. So for them, it's like no big deal for them to go, live in the caves for 20 years until we leave. That's just like they're used to doing that anyway. So really, it's like this is almost a generational thing, and then it really, because Afghanistan still has the opioid exports and stuff that they attracts the Taliban, and they have philosophical differences, and all the neighboring nations. There's just so many things that make this a different environment that you can't just say we're gonna isolate this and make it kind of like Saudi Arabia or something like that, where it's potentially U.S. friendly more so than the surrounding nations. Because even so, they would get pushed on by Iraq, Iran, Siberia, all these different Serbia, and all these other countries that are against the U.S. So again, it's just not, I don't think, tenable for us to ever achieve long-term peace. The best we could do is have a friendly government that we kind of prop up and support, but we can't ourselves. Unless we say they're indefinitely, there's no way we're going to just turn the country over to be friendly to us.
Yeah.
Right. No. Go ahead, Chris.
I feel like you and I are always trying to talk at the same time. Sorry about that.
Great minds.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback off of what you both just said, 20 years obviously seemed. I mean, 20 years. I was 14. So I mean. 20 years has been a long time for me. But 20 years in terms of changing the hearts and minds of an entire country is nothing. I mean, that's one generation. To really change that country. I mean, we, like Dwight was saying, I mean, we would need to be there for 2-3 generations. I mean, how much could we? I mean, these people that are coming out, like you said about coming out from the mountains, they remember this. I mean, they remember the old government. It's only been 20 years. I mean, to really change things, several generations have to have passed by. I mean, people are alive in Afghanistan who remember what it was like. It's not like an old forgotten era. But unfortunately, the American people just do not have, and it's not. And I think this is one thing that crosses party lines. I mean, there's just no stomach. Americans don't have an appetite for staying in these extended wars, nation building, and And the question's always asked, well, what's it doing for us? Why are we over there? Why are we wasting money, lives? I think most of us here would agree that we will be sitting here in 10 years, as when Afghanistan or the Taliban attack us in some way, and we're like, oh wait, that's why we were over there. That's why we're preventing something like that from happening again. And I'd hate to see it, or hate to say it too, but I mean, they're going to be a threat again. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like we'll never forget 9/11. We forgot about the reasons that 9/11 happened.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, okay. I know a lot of folks will disagree. I say the reasons 9/11 happened is because, one, the Clinton administration, they hollowed out the intelligence department. They had an opportunity to take Osama bin Laden, but he didn't take it. That's been proven. There's been a number of there's the audio that Sean Hannity always played about Bill Clinton. Said he begged the Saudis to take him, but because he couldn't, there's nothing we could have done, as he put it. It's not to relitigate 9/11 too much. I'm sure we'll be doing that in the 9/10 show when we do our show. But I think it happened, and I tell you, they hated Western decadence. It was basically, it was basically a shot at the great Satan. I don't think it's because, as some liberals would say, we left them hanging after the Soviets were pushed out. We left the Mujahideen hanging. No, it is not because we didn't do anything to deserve 9/11, frankly. It's just a bunch of troglodytes from hell who hates our Western democracy and our freedoms. They all want us all to be living under the heel of a tyrannical dictator. They want the caliphate around the world. And that is why they attacked us. They saw us as a threat to their expansion of radical Islam around the world. That's
I don't even know if it's not as a threat. I think they did it as a kind of a show of their own might. The fact that they could strike at a country that claims to be, so strong, and yet they would call us infidels. And the fact is that I think it was the Taliban's own, kind of posturing, where they just wanted to show their own might as an organization. And it really wasn't, let's say, about us as individuals, just the fact that they have an opposing lifestyle, and they wanted to strike at what they figured was like, the heart of darkness, the most powerful corrupt country that they could think of, just as a show that, they had the might and they had the right to control Afghanistan and the people the way they wanted to. Kind of like, North Korea. I don't think Kim Jong-il has any real, need to posture against us, on the fact that it's just a show for us, for his own people, that he can show that, again, his own people, that he can stand up to the U.S. There's no benefit for him for that, other than just his own posturing.
Mm-hmm. And
look,
the other. Go ahead, John.
North Korea had no interest in going to war. It's a tiny country. I mean, so they can throw off a few missiles and whatnot, but it is posturing. Because what he gets every time they kind of rattle the saber there, right, is that they get the U.S. or South Korea to give them more aid and food or whatever, and keep them propped up in their own way. All of you guys made great points. I mean, Dwight, keeping the Taliban in check. That's exactly what we need to. Why are we there? Because we don't want another, Jeff. And two, this is one of the biggest differences too, in a lot of the things that Dwight cited, is just that if you look at Vietnam, that the terrain in Vietnam is very different than it is in Afghanistan. These mountains, all this type of thing, the borders, these issues, and those generational things that you guys mentioned about how they were hiding caves. So, he brought up, the Soviet Union. Look, they slogged that out with them for a long time, so they're used to slogging it out. They have all the patience in the world to whoever they want to fight against. If we give up after 10, 20 years, they're like, hey, look, we can do this. We can keep this going forever. I kind of do like the idea that by having U.S. in Afghanistan, it does kind of keep the Taliban occupied, with this. They're kind of distracted. I mean, they're not going to really look to the U.S. and try to launch an attack at the U.S. if they're in their homeland.
Right.
And remember, these folks, we view 20 years as a long, long time, right? these guys have grudges going back centuries.
Yes,
They've got
good
tribal
point.
warfare going back hundreds of years, and they go, "Your great 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 grandfather stole my great great grandfather's goat, so I have this blood feud with your family." There's a funny episode of I Dream of Jeannie where some princess from Middle Eastern country is there, and Jeannie goes, "I've got a blood oath to kill anybody from her family because her ancestors stole a pig from her family," and she goes, "We have a blood oath that anytime if anybody sees her, they have to kill her." But
All right.
that's kind of like
I need a fact check of that one from Illyria. Okay.
okay.
The number Genie fan and Love Boat and maybe Fantasy. I don't know.
I wonder if he's going to watch the new Fantasy Island.
The movie
Yeah.
or the series?
The series. I think is it Roma Downey that's playing the new Mr. Rourke or Ms. Rourke?
That's what you said. I haven't looked deep into it because I'm not going to bother with that at all. All right, let's move on here and talk about the other probably the biggest news that broke this week was in New York, right?
Yeah.
When we have Andrew Cuomo has decided to step down. He kind of surprised some people by doing so, but it was in the cards, right? I mean, I think he would have had to. He was, the assembly was already preparing impeachment charges. I guess it's the New York State Senate was preparing those. Bad news for him. But his successor is not going to be a whole lot better. Unfortunately, the New York State Republican Party is not in terrific shape. So their chances of taking over would rely on Kathy Hochul either implode or some huge upset in a primary next year. Where she doesn't get renominated or nominated for this. So I don't know. About all of this. I mean, but Dwight's a big New York kind of guy, so
Yeah.
What do you think,
This
Dwight?
sets the stage up. I think this sets the stage up nicely for Lee Zeldin to have a path to victory as governor of New York. I think New Yorkers in Western New York are fed up with Upper East Side Manhattan Democrats telling folks you can't frack, you can't do this, you can't do that. They have all these crazy environmental regulations that they impose on the rest of New York because, let's face it, New York Democrats view the city as Long Island, Westchester, the city, and Yonkers. That is their definition of the state of New York. Everyone else who lives in upstate New York, and some of the Albany parts of Orange County where Albany is and those suburbs there, they probably view as being part of New York. But everything else is just, everyone else doesn't matter because they're the population. They're the smartest, most sophisticated people in the world. So what they say to those hayseed rednecks, hillbillies in upstate New York, well, we just know what's better for them than they do. And that's the mentality. And I think it's about time. I think you're going to see some major pushback. And I think Lee Zeldin is the perfect candidate for governor. He's from Long Island. He has, grasp of the issues, and he's an excellent debater. And I don't think the current lieutenant governor probably won't even run for governor. I think de Blasio is going to run for governor, I believe, the failed mayor of New York City. And I wouldn't mind seeing Lee Zeldin run against him because, he is complicit in Andrew Cuomo's sending old people to the nursing homes to die with COVID. De Blasio is complicit in that whole thing. And here's the other side of the coin here. If, let's say, President Trump won last November, the Democrats would be circling their wagons around Andrew Cuomo today. The fact that Joe Biden is in the White House is the reason they are not. They're basically saying, go away, we can replace you with somebody better or somebody else, I'm just surprised they haven't given him an ambassadorship somewhere.
It's interesting with the whole New York thing, though, because I was listening to a podcast, 538 podcast, because you got liberals to even to kind of know where things are going, but they do a lot of analysis, right? They do a number crunching, and one of the things that they did right after Cuomo resigned, they put together a quick podcast, and one of those had to deal with governors who left office and then the lieutenant governor took over, and something it's not necessarily because of scandal. Sometimes they leave for they get appointed for something else. They get, maybe they get appointed to the Senate or whatever. And they said there've been 13 of those. 10 of the 13 have run for the governorship and won. Only 3 had failed to win the nomination when they put their name down on the ballot. I think Hochul will actually go through. She has been very involved in politics. She's been sitting on the sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
One of the advantages for her is that she's too tied to Cuomo. She's been really disagreeing. Cuomo, they pointed out that Cuomo had his 279-page book, extolling the virtues of Andrew Cuomo. He hinted her once. He had enough all for his lieutenant governor. So the two of them are just like.
Yeah.
So that's an advantage for Hochul. But she is left than Cuomo, a little bit more with the Bernie Sanders, AOC wing kind of thing like that. But, so, she used some policies that would just anger people. I think you have said there are people in New York after the nursing home scandal, after the sexual harassment scandal. I think, if a guy like Zeldin comes in, pushes a good agenda and says, this is who I stand for. I'm going to clean up. I'm going to take New York in a new direction. I'm going to do this, this, and this, and things like that. Move away from some of these bad policies. He might gain support, he normally wouldn't have. But, their registration numbers are not good. The party's been in disarray overall. They haven't won anything lately. So it's going to be an uphill climb. Not possible, but an uphill climb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the New York GOP, and I'm not talking about the Nassau County GOP or the Suffolk County GOP, has been a little bit disarray like our friends in the Virginia GOP. They've actually got the potential to pick up 50 seats in the state assembly to take the majority again with these scandals. But they got to play it right, and they got to have good they can't have lunatic candidates, and they got to have reasonable sounding candidates. You can't have people going around touting, how the IMF and the Bilderbergers are ruling the world and stuff like that, and expect to win. You need good candidates. Like we have in Maryland, we have some fine candidates running for the state assembly and some great candidates. You need good candidates. And I think Lee Zeldin would do very well to follow the path of because you are running in the state of New York, a Larry Hogan, Glenn Youngkin style campaign for governor. I think that's the path to win. You're not going to win because you need to pick up votes on Long Island, and you can't win.
How about Rudy?
I think Rudy would be great, but I think that ship has sailed for him to run for governor. I think the time for him to run for governor was back after George Pataki. And I think he would have been a great governor. And there was actually a rumor for a while that Hillary was going to run for governor, and we'd finally see the Rudy versus Hillary fight. But she decided she wanted to be president instead. But I think,
Well, you just mentioned some of the, like Virginia. We love, we want Virginia. We want those people to succeed over there, and it's been really, bad for them, overall. But with Youngkin, the thing, and I keep saying this almost every time we talk about it or I talk about it with my other friends, is just that, Terry McAuliffe, I think he's in big trouble in Virginia, because I find this shocking to have a former governor coming back to run again. You'd think in a state that has gone trending much more blue in the last several elections, and yet 99% of his emails about where the polls are almost even. Send me money. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And about the only thing that he does beyond that is that he can tie Youngkin to Trump. Trump has endorsed him. He's going to be like this. And there's really nothing from McAuliffe about, this is what we have to do for Virginia. This is how we continue our success, or whatever you want to say. How to continue Northern policies going forward. He doesn't talk about that. He's so focused on Trump Youngkin, and I think that is a telltale signal that McAuliffe is not going to glide into the governor's mansion in Virginia. That Youngkin has got him, has got him on the run, which is going to be terrific because I think all the seats in the legislature in Virginia are up, right?
Yep.
And they need to take that back. They lost control. They have a good shot, I think, of taking it back with that. And I hear from some friends of mine in Virginia too that even Mark Herring is a little wobbly. So I think Virginia this time around.
I think Mark Herring is the most vulnerable.
Very good candidates, credible candidates.
And I think Mark Herring's very vulnerable. He's been around for such a long time. People are kind of just tired. He's kind of the kid that fails every year. The teachers finally, he's been in the 9th grade for 4 years. The teachers are all kind of just fed up with seeing that kid. I think he may, and Jason Moriales, great candidate for Attorney General. Reminds me a lot of the George Allen days, and Glenn Youngkin. Let me tell you, I'm getting the same feelings I got when George Allen ran for governor against Mary Sue Terry, who was not supposed to lose also, by the way. Mary Sue Terry, and I mean, Governor Allen handedly defeated her, even though all the talking heads were saying, oh, she'll pull it out, she'll pull it out. Now, Governor Allen basically took her to the woodshed, basically, at the end of the night.
Well, then, if you're McAuliffe and you're basically trying to run on your laurels, that's the wrong strategy. Never.
Well, who's Terry McAuliffe's top advisors? He got all the people that were Dick Thornburgh for governor campaign, Dick Thornburgh for Senate campaign from the special election, where former Bush 41 Attorney General stepped down to run for the Senate seat after John Hines passed away. And he lost to Harris Wofford because, well, I'm ahead in the polls. I don't need to really campaign. I was the most popular governor in the state of Pennsylvania. And he lost to Harris Wofford. Harris Wofford, an old-time Democrat who they dusted off and took him off the shelf and put him in to run for Senate. And then the guy got elected. And then he got reelected. Harris Wofford.
That was a very painful memory you just brought up. That Wofford thing that's one of the things that I think have happened in my life. That was bad.
And now somebody said he's come out of the closet and he's married a former aide.
After
his wife died.
But I think Dwight, and I think you're right here, is that you have to run good candidates. The Republicans, the Democrats have run some bad candidates too, but Republicans have a tendency. They've made some huge mistakes. Two people that I really know, Christine O'Donnell and Sharon Angle. They're nice people, but they were terrible candidates. And they cost the Republicans a chance. There's a big Republican that went to the Democrats because of terrible candidates. Friday the 13th. Yeah. That would actually with Christine O'Donnell. Friday the 13th. There was that whole witchcraft thing going.
Yeah,
right, or something. Remember that?
Yeah, that's it's funny. There was I'm not sure if it was Saturday Night Live or she was poking fun at herself. Where there's this commercial where she goes, "Well, do you really want to take the chance that I might be a real witch? Do you want to really want to vote against me? Kind of like, and that didn't work out too well. But just like in Maryland right now, shifting gears a little bit. We've got an awesome candidate for governor, and then you got a couple of, then you've got this guy who's running for governor, who's a former delegate, and
hey, that's your hometown hero.
He has
Cox.
Chimed in that he's at Ocean City. He's going to get really mad.
See, Robin. Got news for you. Okay, Robin. Here's the thing. Robin actually has. Robin, unlike other he's not going to be upset if he loses the primary. He's not going to be bitter. He'll basically just start on his next mission for the next 2 years for whatever referendum. But I can see if this other candidate, if he loses, I don't see him dusting himself off and getting in line lockstep behind him, nor his supporters, and I think I speak for all of us. We believe in vaccines, frankly, get the vaccine. I don't think the vaccine should be a mandate to get the vaccine, but I think, it's the responsible thing to do, with the vaccine, but I mean, the fact that some of the, I mean, I will, like Dan, if Dan were to be our nominee, I don't think we could win the general election with Dan Cox. Kelly, I think we have a fighting.
You can't.
What's that? What was that, Chris?
You don't think there's no way we'll win?
I was being nice, Chris. I was trying to be a little nice, But yeah, you're absolutely right. Kelly shows,
but Dan Cox, which I mean, he's got more support, at least some of these people than I thought he would. I mean, I can't,
Yeah. I mean, the women's women's federation.
Call him like Kelly, but now we're going to have Dan biting nipping at our heels for a little while at least.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. The women's clubs. Okay, this is great. We're Republicans, because if we were Democrats, every Democrat women's club would be behind Kelly because she's a woman. Our women are awesome because they're free thinkers. I think there's a couple of Montgomery County Republican Federation women who are really going full on board with Dan Cox train, and supporting Dan Cox in here. And it's a primary. Support who you like, But I'm just saying, Kelly Schultz is the only one that can win. Frankly, Kelly is the only one that can win, and I think that's who should be our nominee.
I think she's a good representative, but yeah.
And she's got a great story too. By the way, she has an awesome story to tell, and. I mean, I'm sorry, Dan Cox, I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure some of our viewers will tell us. But didn't he also file like articles of impeachment or something like that against Hogan or something like that? He wanted to impeach Hogan at one point.
He filed a lawsuit.
Oh, a lawsuit. Okay, not impeachment.
A poorly written lawsuit. It was a carbon copy of, I want to say, Virginia. Mm-hmm. Somebody sent him, whoever was suing, I guess Virginia's governor, sent it to him, mm-hmm. and he forgot to change the state's name.
Wow, I've seen that happen with proposals. I've seen companies submit proposals to be, say, subs on a contract or whatever, and they'll just recycle an old proposal. It'll say DHS, and this isn't a DHS proposal. You need to go back and change it to agency.
Yep.
I mean, but cut and paste is okay for some things, but then you better remember to cut and to paste.
That's why I believe. That's why I believe if you build a small application with a form that has your proposal, you just put in the key information, and it spits it out in a Word doc, and it works beautifully. That's what I do.
And I just want to say this. I know that, I mean, the media is obviously very excited about a Dan Cox campaign because
that's the only way the Democrats can win if Dan Cox is our nominee.
Yeah, and yes, Dan is running as the Trump candidate. I don't think Dan is as and I don't know him well, but I mean we've certainly met each other many times. Mm-hmm. He represents a little piece of Carroll County. I don't think that he comes off a little more out there and crazy, I think, in articles and maybe on Facebook than in real life. He's actually a lot more normal and calm in person than what I think you see on Facebook. But with that said, I've got a lot of people I know who are supporting him, and that's fine. It's the primary, and you can do what you want.
Yeah.
But I always go back to the old saying of vote with your brain in the primary and vote with your heart in the general.
Mm-hmm.
If you, the smart choice is to go is for Kelly to go into the general. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, I know in Montgomery County, the Republican Club has endorsed Kelly as well as Barry for comptroller and Kelly for governor. And I think, I think Kelly is, Here's the thing. Kelly, she's a woman. She makes for a great candidate. I think, what do you call, Kelly is, the best way to continue the Hogan successes. And I know we probably lost some of our viewers by just that compliment, by saying Hogan successes, but I mean, come on, let's give him credit, let's give him credit for all the great things he has done. Because here's the thing: imagine having a Governor Ben Jealous or Governor Anthony Brown. You know what that would have meant? Maryland would have been locked down. Okay, in Maryland, construction was not locked down. Construction went on during the pandemic. Unlike some other, like in Pennsylvania, they had zero construction going on. So I mean, let's not, I mean, I consider Governor Hogan a friend. I do disagree with him from time to time, but at the end of the day, would I want to have Ben Jealous or Anthony Brown? Hell no. And that's kind of the logic. We got to apply the Buckley principle: vote for the most conservative, electable Republican, and that is Kelly Schultz. By the way, just for fun, we don't know what party he's running for, but our former failed RNC chairman, Michael Steele, and one of the worst lieutenant governors in Maryland history, is also toying around with the idea of running for governor. I'm not sure if he's running as a Democrat or a Republican, but what is Michael's path, real quick? I mean, do you see any real path I don't see a path for him to win.
No,
I think doing this for attention.
And we've kind of talked about this before, because we know that how much you love Michael Steele there, Dwight. But yeah, he hasn't really been a part of Maryland politics for a number of years. He's been spending most of his time on MSNBC, right, commentating and railing against Republicans, particularly President Trump and things like that. So, I don't see where he goes with this. I mean, if you look at Kelly, you'll see, she can go out there and say, look, Maryland has been a pretty big success over the last 8 years, and I want to continue building on that success. We know, while not all Republicans are going to be happy with the idea that we have to work with the Democrats, the fact of the matter is that if you're the governor of Maryland and you're Republican governor of Maryland, you're going to have to work with the Democrats. And you can use executive power for some things, but you just do the best you can and make sure that Maryland doesn't slip into the abyss. And Hogan's done a very good job of governing, really from the middle. Yeah, like you, I don't agree with everything that he's done, but what's the alternative? The Ben Jealouses of the world? No, thank you. I don't see that Maryland voters overall. If Kelly makes a really good things, we'll see any reason to why change? Why just because for the sake of going Democrat? What are the Democrats offering? They're not going to offer anything.
Because I mean, a vote for Dan Cox is a vote for Dan Cox or Michael Steele would be a half a vote for the Democrats, because Michael Steele. Then again, Michael Steele may run as a Democrat. Let's just say that too. Maybe we'll see a. I wonder who I really would love to know who these tier 2 candidates will pick for a running mate. It's like, who'd want to be like, who do you think's good? I mean, initially we were thinking Dan McHugh would probably be Dan Cox's running mate or something like that, but even Dan McHugh is not going to do that. So it's like, who really? I mean, and I say this with no malice intended. But the Dan Cox campaign reminds me of the Brian Murphy campaign of 2010. I don't know if you guys remember Brian Murphy. Jeff, I know you were in Michigan then.
Yeah.
Chris, do you remember Brian Murphy? He ran against Governor Ehrlich in 2010.
I was not. I was still pretty young at that point. I know of him, but I don't know him or remember it that well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's what in 20 years, that's what we'll be. 10 years, we'll be saying that about Dan Cox. I think but because I've been seeing a lot of posts, like I know Jim Pelora seems to be he's a big supporter of former MDGOP chairman. You know, he was also a supporter of Murphy, so I kind of view this as the second coming of the Murphy campaign. You know, but I am a little troubled how many of our friends, Chris and Don and Jeff, our friends, are supporting Dan Cox for governor. That's a little troubling. I don't know about you.
All you have
Back to
to
what Chris was earlier, though, is like it's the Trump people. It's like kind of like the diehard Trump people doing that. I mean, I don't know if you saw that email that came serve or whatever, where somebody was complaining about Dan Crenshaw and said, accusing him of being a gatekeeper of the left because he had made some statement that, the election wasn't stolen and all those kind of stuff. And I think Joel Corrales on the subcommittee responded, very well. No, it's like, get off of this now, okay? I mean, it's like we're approaching 7 months of the Biden presidency. Okay, This is Zell, the guy, just came out of holding a 2 or 3 day cyber symposium about election fraud, steal, and like that, and yet he blew it up in front of the television on his own, and totally discredited and insulted. And it's like, we have to move on from this, and let's go and hit the real map.
We're starting to sound like. By the way, this is a real fun graphic created by our friend Brian Griffith, and this is kind of what. But yeah, and I'll tell you this though. Was there some shenanigans? Yes, but something, we need to get off those shenanigans and stuff like that. We need to not start. We're all starting to sound like the Al Gore campaign from Al Gore won. Every single recount had Al Gore winning, or blah 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 blah. And I'm thinking,
same thing with Hillary in 2016. You've mentioned before too. Stacey Abrams has never conceded, right? You just have all these people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I appreciate doing fundraising in the past. I appreciate fundraising, but please, let's just stop these fundraisers that are like final notice. It's like, what final notice? What are you going to do? Repo my Republican card if I don't donate to the RNC? Come on, stop it. By the way,
at the same point, Dan Cox has every right to run, and let him run the campaign, and let's see what happens. And see if Kelly.
Yeah. Unlike Virginia and Maryland, anybody with $100 filing fee can run for governor. In Virginia, you need, and that's what I do. I don't know, real quick. I know this is not one of our topics we talked about, but what are your thoughts on having Central Committee members collect, say, 1,000 signatures to get on the ballot for Central Committee? I don't want to do it for any other office but Central Committee. You like that idea?
I think all I'm a supporter of the idea for all offices that you got to get, because that will eliminate, I think, a large portion of the idiot file for office just so they can see their
Brave
name.
life. Oh, did I say that out loud?
Any effort. I think every level of office, Central, name it. If you're not willing to get that, if you or you're unwilling to get 1,000, I don't think it needs to be some crazy giant or in fact, and I'm supportive of the idea that you got to, that it shouldn't just be a file. I think it should be. I don't think it needs to be thousands of dollars, but it should be something.
I think
tell you right
50
now,
to
whenever you hold a free event, the extra amount of crazy shows up to free event. If you charge $5 for an event, half of those crazy show up to your event. Same thing with running. If you charge a little bit more than $20, I think right off the bat you'd eliminate a lunatic to file with no intention of winning.
I think we make it the same as it costs to run for state senate, which I believe is $50. $50 to run for. We should actually talk to some of our friends in the state house to bring, because they could do that by legislation. I don't think we can apply it for this cycle, but at least 4 years from now, And I also think, the signature requirements, if they had to get $50 and 1,000 signatures. 1,000 signatures is a very low threshold. And I'm not even going to make it hard by saying they have to be from your district that you're running. It could just be from anyone in your county. 1,000 signatures from your county, because that shows that you actually, just like I feel when you fill vacancies on a central committee, we should do it like The Apprentice, where you can go and just like on The Apprentice, we give them a task. This is you got 5 people applying for one vacancy. What we could do is give them, each one of them has a task to do, and depending on how successful they are, that's how we decide who gets to get it. Because that's the point when people who want to get really are willing to work the hardest. Once they get on, they'll just phone it in sometimes. What are your thoughts on even that? If it's vacancy phone, giving them tasks to do, they'll do it. They're not going to move forward in the process. Kind of an apprentice style of
All right, we're
vacancies.
getting into that final.
Oh, actually, can we talk about
the final
real
thoughts
quick?
time, Dwight?
Can we talk about the census real quick, though? The census numbers came out late last night, today. And I would like to know, why is it such a big deal that there's, Maryland's the most diverse state in the Northeast, evidently. But why does that even matter that we have more minorities and the white population is going down? I think, what difference does it make, as Hillary Clinton would say? And,
I think I'm a minority now, right?
So can we
I'm technically the minority at this point.
Yeah. Well, not on Dr. Politics, because Indians are classified as Caucasians by the state of Maryland, unless they've changed it. But when I was in high school, my graduation code was the same race code Jeff had on his graduation card. Which is funny. And actually, there was a sociology professor at GW that explained to me why. Because they go, part of the thing is, he goes, you got the same DNA as white folks from Eastern Europeans and so on. And so I don't care really. I identify as a human, except those times I want to be a Klingon. But I self-identify as a human being, And I think that's the most important thing. But I just think it's funny that the census, how the left is just fawning over themselves. It's like, big deal. What is that? What does that change?
Part of the reason there is that because the way they conducted and the way they came out, and that the white male Americans had fallen under 60 for the first time since they conducted. Part of that was, they explained, was there is another category, racial, which a lot of people are now identifying with. But the other thing is that the liberals, they see that as, because with the they're the ones that tend to vote Republican more often than anything else, and so they look at that as a further eroding of Republican line, and that has kind of shown in states where that population has been dwindling like that in that particular segment. The Democrats have been gaining a bigger foothold, so it is something to watch. I think Asians were up to now 20%, and they were like one of the fastest growing segments. Mm-hmm. We're coming for you.
There you go. Yeah. But you're going to be classified as Caucasian too at some point.
I know. Part of
Harvard and Yale.
Half things I'd go either way, but it's like I'm rooting for the Asians right now.
There you go.
All right, we gotta do final thoughts and wrap this up if we can.
Final thoughts, yes. Let's do final thoughts. Jeff Thornton, let's start with you.
So I was just thinking, when you're talking about the census report, that when I was talking to, you have to remind me some terrible names. The last Speech in Politics we did, the lady who was
Dr. Sham.
Yes, Dr. Sham. So thank you for that. So she spoke very well, and she was talking about her beliefs as a Republican and such. And I was telling her that I understand that the Democratic message really is a appealing message in terms of like equality, but you have to understand that not all of us are equal in the way that that matters in terms of we put it this way. Everyone should be given equal opportunity but not everyone rises to equal levels. So I think that's the kind of difference between Democrats and Republicans, is that Democrats typically say, we will provide for you at a certain level. We want everyone
We'll
to
give you these.
yeah. So it's kind of
That's
like,
what
the
Democrats say.
that everyone, is equal, in aptitude. And so we're going to treat everyone as equal in terms of aptitude and level of capabilities. Whether you are overqualified or underqualified, we're all going for that median level. Whereas Republican says, okay, we will create opportunities for you, and the people that can take the opportunities can advance to the highest part, to as high as they're capable of proceeding. So you're going to have a lot of disparity there, because you're going to have people that don't have any interest in pursuing success and those that do. And there's always going to be, success has no upper limit, basically. So you can't really say, people, I get the saying, like, eat the rich, but there is no, like, the fact that you're rich and getting richer, yes, there are built-in inequities in the system, but it's also people are, have capabilities, and the more you reinvest what you have, the more you're going to get back for it. If you have $1 million in investments and it's getting interest, if you reinvested interest back in your investments, you're going to build on that. You're going to compound. Whereas, if you're always taking out money, it's going to decrease, and then to the point where now you're borrowing money. So again, I'm not trying to get on a soapbox here, but it just kind of reminded me that, this is why I'm a Republican, because I believe that, everyone should be given equal opportunity, but not everyone should be treated as equals. If that makes sense.
Makes sense. Any other thoughts, Jeff?
Well, happy Friday the 13th. And
Yeah, there you go. Go watch Friday the 13th, part 12.
Yes.
And write the studios, tell them to start make part 13. It's not like you guys have any new ideas anyways.
In 2009, they should have done Friday the 13th in 2013. Now they got to wait till, like, what, 2023?
Yeah.
That's not a good number. They should have probably done it.
Final thoughts, Don Irvine.
All right, just two quick add on here. So Major League Baseball had a Field of Dreams baseball game last night that was a humongous success. They built a little to the whole thing in a cornfield in Iowa. So much like the movie and everything like that. Evan Costner came out and did his thing and all of that. They had, I think they had seating for 8,000 fans. I heard that. I think there were tickets were going. I think they were going in the second $4,000 a seat or something like that. And it was a heck of a game between the Yankees and the White Sox in the game. And it was an exhibition game. And so then with a walk-off win last night as well. So lots of thrill. Congratulations to any to do more things like that. That is terrific for the game of baseball. Yeah. Terrific for sports in general. It was just a really neat thing to do. And then my other final thought will be just to congratulate my youngest son, Stephen, and his fiance, Bree. Will be getting married tomorrow morning. So we're excited.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, we're finally the last one is getting married. We're very happy.
Give Stephen my best. And, if I had known, I would
he
have
loves
sent him
Utah.
a laser rifle.
So yeah,
because remember when he was a kid, I had that baby I could shoot. But
yeah.
You.
So it's as I said at the beginning. This is a tech corridor out here. There's a lot of startups, so it's quite the growth and crazy out here. But congratulations to Steve and Bree for their marriage.
And by the way, Don, did you know the Little League? They're taking a playoff on that cornfield thing. They're gonna do Children of the Corn, where little leaguers are gonna come out of the cornfields. Yeah. All right, Chris, do you even remember that movie, Children of the Corn? Sorry, way before.
I have seen Children of the Corn. What is it? Is it Zebediah? Is that the?
Like Malachi and
yeah.
What's the other guy? Malachi was the red-haired guy.
Chris, tell us some final thoughts.
Since we talked so much about Kelly Schultz, I will plug the group that I'm heavily involved in, Carroll Republican American Victory organization up here in Carroll County. We have monthly socials, and this Monday, our social is going to feature Kelly. She'll be our guest speaker, and that is at the Westminster J&P's restaurant at 7 o'clock this Monday. So if you're in Carroll County or close by,
Yeah, hey Chris, if you send me the details, I'll put it up on our website as well so we can promote it. Oh no, Chris was frozen.
Oh no.
It's Friday the 13th, that's what happens, when you do a show on Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Chris has been taken into the cornfields.
Yeah, somebody slashed his internet connection, so it's,
Yeah. Okay, Chris, you can finish your thoughts if you come back. In the meantime, I will go with my final thoughts. A couple things. One, Red, White, and Blue dinner is coming up fast, less than about a month away now. Go ahead and go ahead, buy a ticket. Go to mdgop.org, and they have all the information there. Great speaker, Mike Pompeo. It is going to be an awesome event. There's a couple of things that are also coming up. October 7th, the Young Republicans have an event with Governor Bob Ehrlich. It's sort of a tribute to our past governor, who did some phenomenal things, including the Bob Ehrlich Expressway, the ICC, introduced a whole bunch of reforms, and it's going to be in Annapolis. Definitely come on out there, email Jason Stein for information on that. And that is all I've got for this evening. I'm just sending a message. What do you call it? So we can, those are my final thoughts. And don't forget, vote Kelly Schultz in the primary next year. Go to Kelly's fundraiser, help Kelly. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Take care. Good evening. Bye-bye, everyone.